I'm still not hearing you well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my name is Dr. Othniel Eko-Kwenu. I represent the people of Ekumfi. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement made by the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, in my submission, I would like to dovetail a bit more into the world of people living with disability, not only for those with leprosy. Because, Mr. Speaker, for many years now, we can see the strides Ghana has made in terms of reducing people living with leprosy. However, if you juxtapose that with those living with disability, you can clearly see that the world of disability, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I'm particularly excited with his submission, especially on the allocations that are being made on the LEAD program, as well as the benefits that they get in terms of the amount. Considering today's cost of living, which is very high, I think the 4 cities, it may even be worth to even consider increasing it a bit more. Mr. Speaker, I think that also in terms of the District Assembly's Common Fund allocation to especially people living with disability, it may be appropriate in terms of today's Ghana and our cost of living to also increase the amount, as well as look at ways of improving access to those funds in terms of people living with disability. Mr. Speaker, before I come to a close, I want to also commend President Mahama for his initiative to make sure people living with disability enjoy free university education to make them also good citizens of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Yes, let me come to Abuakwa North. Is it Abuakwa North?
The Speaker is Ekuapem North.
Ekuapem North, I'm sorry.
And Mr. Speaker, I will be glad to welcome you up the hill. So it's Ekuapem North, not Abuakwa.
Then invite me specially.
Mr. Speaker, we will. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to contribute towards the statement made by the Honorable Member for Weijagbawe, and also to further extend it beyond just leaving everything on the shoulders of government, but also inviting that of corporate bodies and well-meaning Ghanaians in the fight against eliminating leprosy. Once again, I also would like to extend it further to also situate it in the broader context on how people living with such diseases are marginalized in our society. If I take Ekuapem North, for instance, that's the only constituency with 2 special needs schools in Ghana, the school for the deaf and the school for the blind. Many a times, public places and institutions do not cater for persons living with even disability. Again, how they are also treated in public and how they are also sidelined in the decision-making process is also something worth taking a second look at. So as we talk about eliminating leprosy, which is also one of the neglected tropical diseases, I also would like this august house to also help support effort in making the situation of persons living with disability, at least, if not comfortable like ours, also for them to also have that decent living and support from all of us. And it's on this note that I associate myself and commend the works of even Father Campbell and Dr. Baumia for the effort that they have made over the years in moving beyond the stigma and supporting persons with such neglected diseases. But Mr. Speaker, I would like to also respectfully that you use your high office to help also champion the cause of the disabled and the special needs people in our country. In many of these public institutions, when you go, even the ramps for persons with disability to even get access to some of these high places, they are non-existent. And then also helping us fight the stigma associated with their condition. So yes, the Honorable Member from Weija has made this clarion call, but I would like to contribute further that we also consider the plight of these persons with disability as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Professor Bayo, you have spoken. Let me give the opportunity to the gentleman. No.
Thank you, Speaker.
I'll come to you. Let me give it to. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Your name and your
I'm Thomas Anaba, Garu constituency.
Garu, very well.
Yes, please. I would like to associate myself with the presenter of the paper for calling on Ghanaians and bringing to light the challenges confronting people with disability, especially the leopards. It is true that being a leopard, you have a lot of social challenges because of the stigma, and many people do not tend to associate with you simply because of the fear they have in contracting the disease. But my challenge is, why do we still keep having this negligible disease spreading now? It is perhaps possibly because of insufficient information within communities that we have a lot of people with leprosy. So I would call for the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health to intensify education in areas that we think leprosy is becoming more rampant and people are devolving it. I will also call on the government, just like they have called, to also increase the support they give to people living with disability, because in our communities, many of those who have disability depend on people like paupers begging around for every help, so that if they increase the District Assembly Common Fund, for which I know, and I have a lot of disabled people in my community, Garu, who told me they have not yet received their share of the District Assembly Common Fund because the government has not yet sent monies to the Assembly, so they are suffering because of that. Let's also ensure that the District Assembly Common Fund is sent very quickly so that they receive their monies early as possible to help buttress their inability. I'll move back to the subject that we dealt with regarding the ambulance service, because it's dear to me. Dear to me because I live in a constituency that the government gave them an ambulance, but the ambulance has been broken down for almost a year. I had to buy an ambulance for the constituency. Meanwhile, we've heard of contracts being given for spare parts for ambulances packed, and we don't know where that money is, and we don't know where the spare parts are.
Honorable member, please. That is why.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, hold on. That is why at the beginning of the comment, I asked all of you to read 93.5. And if I'll have to read again to all of us, a member may comment on the statement for a period. Hello, honorable members, please listen to me. Honorable Stephen Amwa, please. May comment on the statement for a period not exceeding 5 minutes. My focus is not on that, and the comment shall not provoke debate. Please, those areas that will degenerate into angles of debate, please, let's eschew them. So, my brother, you may continue, but this is from that angle you are championing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your guidance. The importance of ambulances to Ghana is well known, and I think if we go back to July 2019, there was a report of 70 women dying in Eastern region for lack of ambulance. Perhaps thanks to those deaths, unfortunately, at least we saw reason in buying more ambulances for Ghana. And I'll pray that we are able to get more ambulances to help in the pre-hospital emergency care. Just like many of the contributors said, early treatment would save so many people from dying and getting complications, especially somebody who is bleeding from an emergency, somebody who has gotten a stroke. If you get a stroke and you are able to get to a hospital within 1 hour with a CT scan done, they are able to treat you very well, and 90% of those people will survive. If you get a heart attack you are able to get to hospital, get basic life support, and get to hospital within 1 hour, your chances of surviving is very, very high. So therefore, I would like to add to the call of my colleague that let's ensure that we get proper education to the general public. It shouldn't just be to offices. The National Ambulance Service, just like the National Fire Service is doing, go to offices, go to communities as part of their duties and train people on basic life support. That one alone can save a lot of people and a lot of lives in this country and a lot of complications. Also, we can also do what we call competition on TVs, because we see young people growing up in schools and the only clubs they join are religious clubs. There's nothing. You don't see anything regarding health. So I think that if we inculcate this thing in the youth, in the children, as they are schooling, they will learn how to do basic life support and then the rest. Also improving on the transport system and giving way for emergency vehicles to pass, because sometimes you see an emergency vehicle blowing horn and drivers don't have space to park for them to pass. So it will also call on the transport sector in the big cities like Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi, and the rest, for them to create a special lane for those vehicles to be able to pass in case we have enough ambulances for the country. So at this end, I will thank Mr. Speaker very much for allowing me to contribute to the debate.
Thank you very much. Now let me go to Odotobi. But honorable member, are you a first timer?
The Speaker made it clear that we should all be part of the first timers. And Mr. Speaker, I have an interest in this statement.
Okay, you let me finish.
Thank you.
Honorable members, as to whether a former leader can be classified as a backbencher, I mean, we all live to see. Yes, honorable member for Dotobli.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I associate myself with the statement made by honorable member for Weja Bawe. Mr. Speaker, from the statement and from what I personally know, a lot is being done, and for that I commend the Ghana Health Service together with all individuals ensuring that this disease would leave our land, eradicate leprosy. I also commend them for the gains they've made in terms of monies being paid, etc. But then there's one aspect regarding people with disability that is being disregarded. We have laws protecting them. We have laws prohibiting discrimination against persons affected with leprosy, not just leprosy, with disability in general. We realize that when it comes to taking care of their health, a good job is done. They are sent through rehabilitation, etc. But then we haven't gotten to the point where we have eradicated leprosy and a lot of these disabilities, which means that laws like the Human Rights Act, laws like the Disability Act, please let the backbenchers be heard, Mr. Minister. Yes, so we have laws that we are not making good use of. And I mentioned two laws in particular. One is the Disability Act of 2006, Act 715. The other is the Human Rights Act 1999, Act 584. At the end of the day, after rehabilitation, my question is, those with this, leprosy, for instance, they don't have the opportunity to go to school. They don't have the opportunity to enjoy other facilities as I and you would be enjoying. So I would plead with the authorities involved. The laws are already in place. We should make sure that persons with disability also enjoy all the other benefits that those of us who do not have disability enjoy. How often do we see ramps when you get to most state buildings?
private buildings, other facilities. Most of the times, persons with disabilities would need assistance to open the door, to go up the ladder, or to go into the elevator. So these laws are not being properly applied. I think persons in high authority have to take note of this. My last point is on the discrimination in terms of the stigma that is attached to disabilities. We would have to do more education to let everybody know that once you have a disability, it does not mean that you are not one of us. It doesn't make you any less human than those of us here in Parliament or outside Parliament. We are not doing enough education. I think we are focusing more on the eradication, but we still have persons with disability living with us. And if we are not careful, we will continue to have them living with us for a longer time. So let us begin to treat them with more respect, show more love to them, and apply the laws that have been made for their benefit, for their use. I'm very grateful.
Thank you very much. Is it a point of...
Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of concern, and I want to draw your attention to it. You saw it yourself, but maybe you want to gloss over it. After the induction, especially the new members, they've been taking through orientation as to how to conduct themselves when they enter the chamber. We had a second timer just cross in front of the maid. Mr. Speaker, like he's cross carpet. And this is not the first and the last time. So if you don't enforce the rules, people will take it for granted that it's a normal practice in this house. Mr. Speaker, it's unacceptable. So if he has crossed carpet, he should announce it so that we'll give him a seat over here, so that we'll conduct a by-election. A second timer, you know, when they come and they are given ministerial position, they spend all their time at the ministry. They don't learn the rudiment of parliament. This is not the embarrassment they are causing everybody here. And Mr. Speaker, you saw it, and you were not happy with it. So let's begin apply sanctions. You were not here. So what do you want to speak to? When the incident happened, you were not here. Yeah. Go to appointment committee and vet nominees. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. We've taken notice of it. I think we will make appropriate announcement to that. Yesterday, I personally observed one, and I think we need to look at it. Once the maze is there, there's no way you can cross. Is it the bar? Clark? Is that you call the place a bar? Yes. Yes. So let me listen to you, my brother.
Speaker, I thank you. Speaker, I thank you for the uncommon opportunity Afajatu South. And I particularly, Mr. Speaker, I particularly wish to elect you for high praise for your relentless commitment to boosting the morale of those of us who are fresh in the House. We hope to step up the plate. Whilst at that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend the maker of the statement, the respected MP for Wejak Bawe, and to fully associate with the statement made. Mr. Speaker, literature has taught us that a staggering figure of 200,000 individuals have been infected annually by leprosy worldwide. This means that 200,000 more people are made potentially disabled each year. 200,000 people potentially face stigma each year. And I think as a world and a country, we must rise up to the occasion. Mr. Speaker, of crucial concern to me is our pretentious attitude as Ghanaians. In Ghana, the only name that is synonymous to leprosy is Reverend Father Andrews Campbell. Even a child in my village knows him, and they'll be able to tell you this is the Lone Ranger, or the only person who advocates relentlessly for issues concerning leprosy. Mr. Speaker, Father Campbell is an Irish and a Ghanaian at the same time. The question is, what happens to the rest of us? We can do more. We are a people who are highly religious, and yet we do not show so much compassion when duty calls. I call on all of us, especially respected honorable members of this august house, to do the needful. And Mr. Speaker, as a nation, we cannot, and I say we cannot, say that we are unable to find reliable and sustainable sources of funding for this particular disease. It is possible. This one, I must underline that this one alone is possible. It is possible for us as a Ghanaian to find a reliable and a sustainable source of funding. Mr. Speaker, the stigma is another important aspect, and I think now is the time. We need to go back to basics, right from our basic schools, right from our cultural setting, to boost education. Education is key in this respect, and I employ the House to take a stage in that. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
But you are part of majority.
Yes, on count.
Okay, yesterday I didn't give you the opportunity. I'll give you the opportunity. Yes.
Thank you.
I shall return.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I will admit that I'm not a backbencher, but I have a special interest in this statement because in the past, the whole northern zone, lepers are housed in Pandai. And we have one of the biggest leprosarium in a place called Nkanchina in the Pandai district. So it is this that is giving me the encouragement to also add my voice to the maker of the statement to say that these are a group of individuals that need a lot of attention. And I'll urge the House and Ghana as a whole to acknowledge the role Father Campbell is playing in assisting these lepers. If you go to Nkanchina, I would say they have one of the biggest shelter properly built by Father Campbell and his group. And they come to their aid almost every time. And I personally, when I was here and when I left, I always made sure that I contributed my quota for the survival of these people. Mr. Speaker, we all know lepers. Even in the Bible, they were discriminated against. And how much more we, those who are not religious like those days. That kind of attitude is causing a lot of pain when you visit the lepers. And sometimes, like the maker of the statements rightly said, they are part of the people that we support with this leap. And how much is it, Mr. Speaker? 4 Ghana cedis. For an adult, a grown-up adult, 4 Ghana cedis is woefully inadequate. And the assembly is supposed to be those giving them some kind of support. But Mr. Speaker, I really don't see that much. I don't see that much. And I wish to place on record that we all make a call, a big call, to the district assembly to try as much as possible to take care of these lepers. Else, sometimes when you visit them, their cry is just too much. And like the maker of the statement also rightly said, the health insurance scheme, they should try as much as possible to extend whatever assistance they can when these people are ill, so that they can easily access the various hospitals that are available, free of charge, because they cannot do anything for themselves. Absolutely nothing. Sometimes when you see them, they are completely off. They cannot hold anything important. So individuals like this, if government don't come to their aid, it will be very difficult for them to survive. On this note, the maker of the statement, let me thank you once again, and thank Mr. Speaker also for the opportunity to add my voice to this statement. I'm most grateful.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, I think the invitation is to all of us. We are all invited to champion the cause of disabilities in general. It is very important, the unfortunate ones among us, let's show love towards them. I think in this particular circumstance, let me mention one of us, Honorable Crementa Park, who has taken it upon himself to champion disability cause. So let's help him, and let's help all other members we come across who are disabled. I think we will have our blessings from that. Thank you, Honorable Member for Weija Bawi. So, Leader of the House, should I continue with my course, or you want to make your statement first? I shall allow you to make your statement first. First, Hames, I'll come back to you. The Leader of the House would like to make a statement, so I'll give the floor to him.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable colleague members of Parliament, since assuming office a week ago, my immediate attention has been on how to contribute towards the efforts of my predecessors and our Right Honourable Speaker, Sumana Alban Kingsford Bagbin, to strengthen the institution of Parliament by addressing the anxieties and concerns of members of Parliament when they fail to be re-elected or voluntarily decide not to run for office again. An institution is as strong as the individuals who populate that institution. Parliamentarians who know they are well catered for when they retire will be difficult to bribe and improperly influence. They can devote their attention to work and put up their best for their constituents and country. They will make Ghana great again. They can more adequately resist pressure from lobbyists and certain interest groups. So on the basis of that, I am proposing to this House for us to design a pension scheme that will cater to the needs of parliamentarians when they decide not to run for office again, or they run but they lose their elections and they are no longer here in this House. Mr. Speaker, it is a noble thing to decide to serve your constituency in this House, and sometimes people serve for a very long time, and in my instance, I was here since 20 years ago. I know of colleagues in this House who have been here for the past 24 years. And yet, those people leave this House without an adequate pension arrangements to cater for their needs so that they can live in dignity when they leave this House. There's a perception that we are all very rich and we are well-to-do. But many of you in this chamber know that that is far from reality. There are many of us who are not that well-to-do and haven't prepared very well before coming to this house and have had a difficulty throughout their stay in this house maintaining their constituencies and themselves. And yet, we don't have a pension scheme that caters for MPs when they leave this house. Some MPs leave this house and within months, sometimes not years, most MPs leave this house and within a very short period of time, when you meet colleagues outside this house, they are in a very miserable and deplorable state. And sometimes, whilst here, out of our meager resources, we will have to be extending support to our colleagues who unfortunately couldn't make it to return to this house. Some parliaments have mechanisms and schemes that they use to support parliamentarians. And so we are looking at establishing a committee of this house to look at all the available models of schemes that are used as pension schemes for parliamentarians when they finally leave this house. We have models in the UK. The UK has a Pensions Act, an MP's Pensions Act, which has a scheme that has a benefit package for MPs. It is drawn out of contributions from individual members of parliament and then contributions from the Exchequer, and then they have different benefit packages for MPs depending on how long they have stayed in the House and at what age they have retired out of Parliament. We also have a model not far away on the African continent in Kenya. And Kenya also has a model that is partly funded from the state coffers and then contributions from members of Parliament. Here in Ghana, we want to establish a scheme, but we don't want the pensions of members of Parliament to become a burden on the taxpayer. And so we are proposing to design an MP's pension scheme that is going to be funded from carbon credits, revenues from carbon credit. We believe that the carbon credit market is one that has not been fully explored by Ghana. And so if we put in place the right infrastructure for carbon credit markets, and we put members of Parliament in charge of ensuring that all the policies and programs that enable Ghana to gain so much from trading in carbon credit in the international market, some of those revenues can go into the pension fund of members of Parliament. And because members of Parliament will be benefiting enormously from that fund, then all members of Parliament, including past members of Parliament, will become more devoted to all the measures that need to be put in place in order to deal with emission challenges, carbon emission issues, and environmental sustainability policies and programs, ensuring that we become a greener economy, ensuring that we diversify our energy sources, and ultimately all that would earn us more carbon credits. And in the process, we'll be gaining more money from the carbon credit revenues, and then with our commitment to put some of it in the pension fund of members of Parliament, parliamentarians will be able to retire on a very decent pension. Mr. Speaker, this is the proposal that I have for this House, and I want to move that this House considers and adopts this proposal for us to set up a committee which will study all the available options, bring us concrete proposals for us to set up an MP's pension fund scheme that draws resources largely from carbon credit revenue. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Thank you very much, Leader of the House. Yes. this time round, I may invite members who are seniors. Not to say I wouldn't invite any newcomer, but this discussion is very inclusive. So let me give the opportunity to what?
Speaker, just by way of guidance, let's agree on the number of contributors. Yes, it's important. You just spoke as a freshman. Now you are up as a senior. Speaker just recognized you as... Okay, you've abandoned that. Okay. So, Speaker, because it's such a major policy statement, let me pray that we do 3-3. 3-3, yes. It's a major.
Well. 3-3, then I'll give the final to the leadership. So, Honorable Patrick Boama, let's start with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make some comments on the statement ably made by the leader of government business and the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, it's a good call from the leader of the House for members to continue to discuss issues about their pensions. Mr. Speaker, in his statement, he rightly attributed the fact that the public out there believe that members of parliament are rich. Yes, they have a right to believe so, because of the way we also carry ourselves out there. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, it's also primarily because of the way our parties also organize our parliamentary primaries. The kind of resources we are able to marshal and mobilize to go and win primaries, the distribution of items, also gives credence to the fact that we are a rich class. Mr. Speaker, we also need to watch that. Mr. Speaker, the public doesn't even know that the car loans we take are deducted from us, our salaries, and our source, and that we make the right contributions towards the cars that we drive, and that the Member of Parliament pays his or her driver, and it comes from the same salary, unlike other Article 71 office holders who enjoy all those benefits, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the public also don't know that some MPs, right from day one, mortgage their salaries or their earnings, take facilities to undertake some of the projects or developments within the constituency. It is clear and must be known. Mr. Speaker, the leader has proposed a scheme based on the UK Pensions Act, or scheme for members of parliament, and also he's thinking on the lines of the Kenyan model. He's also proposing that we look at carbon emissions or carbon credit to fund ours. It's a matter of policy for the government to decide whether the government is going to support this policy, because to trade your carbon is a matter of the executive taking that decision. We as a House cannot on our own take that decision. It has to be a proposal from the leader of government business, who is not a minister of state, and I recommend that the President Mahama makes him a minister of state. He has done 40-something, so adding Honorable Ayariga as a minister to carry that weight, to present a proposal on behalf of members of parliament to his cabinet, to enable us have that backing of the executive to be able to trade in carbons to fund our pensions. Mr. Speaker, you know, former colleagues will come to you and ask for, I don't want to mention the amount, 200 cedis to buy their medication. You'll be surprised. And it's a very important call. We've been talking about these issues, but the action ought to commence now. And I'll commend the leader for making this very important statement, his maiden one and a weighty one as such. And I wish him the very best in the roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Let him give it to Honorable Samson.
Thank you very much.
This time I haven't heard the voice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to what the majority leader has put forward. And I want to, first of all, commend him highly. I can see that he's ready to work. Because for him to come out with this laudable proposal, I only pray that he has started very well. God will be with him to continue so that he will take care of the condition of honorable members. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the Article 71 groups, the judicial people, when they go on retirement from the High Court, Appeal Court, to the Supreme Court, they all go on retirement on their salaries. As soon as a High Court judge is appointed, the state hired a driver for him, provide him with fuel, and so on and so forth. But same cannot be said for members of parliament. You are elected as member of parliament, and you have to employ your own driver, pay him or her from your meager salary that is given to you. When you go on retirement, you are at the mercy of God. Whether how you survive, nobody cares. Mr. Speaker, so I think that this is very, very important, and it is timely that we look at this thing critically. And I'm sure former MPs who are here, from time to time, our former colleagues come to this parliament, and you see their situations, their conditions, very horrible. Some of them even manage to buy their daily drugs. It's a problem. So, Mr. Speaker, even though we opted to come and serve, now it's becoming like a sin to offer yourself to serve as a member of parliament. Look, the whole of last 8 parliaments, our salaries were never increased. Our salaries were never increased. We have to live on the previous parliament salaries. And I'm sure non-parliament too is going to continue. As we are here now, we don't know how much we are going to earn in the form of salaries. So why should we be treated this way? So, Mr. Speaker, I think that we should take this matter seriously, and that committee should be constituted today, to start work today, now, so that we know how much we're going to contribute towards it, and allow the state to also provide a seed fund, sort of, so that at least we are assured that tomorrow, if you are no more in parliament, there is something for you to live on. Mr. Speaker, I have been here for 20 years already. I've been here for 20 years, but I don't have any security. If I should leave parliament today, I don't have any security to guarantee how I'm going to survive in this country. So I want to commend Harry, the majority leader, for this proposal. All of us must embrace it and ensure that it comes to realization, so that tomorrow, today is not, you are in parliament, so you think that you don't need it. But don't forget, the way that you came here, in the same way that you live here. So let's all come together and then support this proposal, so that tomorrow, when we are not more in parliament, we can also get something to survive on. So with these few words, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you and thank Majority Leader for this proposal. Let's all welcome it and accept it and support it so that at the end of the day, we have something ahead of us when tomorrow we are no more members of parliament. Thank you for the opportunity.
Honourable members, I saw a lot of people trooping in. Is it because of the topic? This gentleman just came in and he is on. Okay, you hold on, I'll come to you. But please, let's be guided. We are an arm of government. Let's fight for our own. It is better than to try to insinuate to other areas. Let's please focus on our path. Let's focus on our path and probably fight for our own. Yes, I'll come to you. Let's give to Honorable Kwaku.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think what the majority leader put across isn't a proposition anybody would want to oppose. And when I listen to members who have spoken to his statement, we all agree that some form of pension scheme would be good for members of parliament. When the majority leader spoke, he did make reference to a committee that would look at various options to operationalize this important idea. And then he also did mention carbon credit. I would suggest, Mr. Speaker, that we leave the financing of this scheme to the committee so that they can explore all possible sources for financing such a scheme. It would definitely involve, as Honorable Yabuama indicated, engagement with the executive. So it is just to point out that whilst it's a good idea, we must not tie it with any particular way of financing. We must leave it open, not include it in the committee's terms of reference, any reference to carbon credit, so that when a committee sits with the executive, they will be able to give us a way of financing it that is fair and that is consistent across the public sector. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me give our mother. Honorable Ladi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, but I could be called our sister. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by my brother and then the leader of government business. Mr. Speaker, it is a very important and laudable statement he has made. And just as earlier commenters might have said, when you sit here, you actually do not see the situation as long as you continue to be an MP. It is when you meet some of our colleagues that reality will dawn on you. Some have actually died out of poverty. Some have had certain issues that are such that they cannot even come back to this house to complain. And one of my colleagues across the aisle said it. Some of these issues are created by ourselves, because when you live a certain lifestyle, you try as much as you can to support those that are outside. Sometimes you go a borrowing to support them. Some of them believe that you take so much money or you get so much money. Mr. Speaker, take it or leave it. It is believed that we have money to the extent that, after all, we are supposed to do whatsoever is needed by our constituents and, for that matter, other persons within society. But it's most unfortunate. Our businesses, some of us, our businesses die naturally when we become MPs. Because once you put someone there to take care of your business while you are here, the person has found a gold mine. Excuse me. The person would have found a gold mine, thinks that after all you have the money, you can get it. Oh, let me go on. By the time this woman or this MP comes back, I should have put up a house, I should have a car, and I should have all the basic necessities that I think are needed, which is very bad. Mr. Speaker, I want us to note that even some constituents believe that we are giving money to go into elections. I can assure you, people will make these statements and you will be shocked. Whether primaries or general elections, we must make sure that we let this go out there that nobody gives another person money to go campaigning, whether primaries or general elections. And also, one big problem, our vehicles, the V8s that we have, people believe that we are giving for free. If you go to Parliament, you will get a V8. They do not know that our salaries are being used. As for fuel, oh, that one, when you go to any fuel station, you will just go and fill your tank and begin going. So what is your problem? We have coupons and we have even the power to go and say we should be giving fuel. Mr. Speaker, please, we shouldn't let this rest. We shouldn't let it be go to sleep on the shelves again. Just as my colleague has suggested, let us have, I will suggest that we should have a 7-member committee to look into this matter, make its recommendations, and ensure that we take it up. We cannot we shouldn't limit the sources of funding or where monies will be coming from. They should look at it broadly. Wherever monies will come from, we should be supported. So that at the end of the day, MPs will not leave this house after 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 years, and then they go a-begging. So, Mr. Speaker, once there will be many others who will be coming up, I will suggest that we look at this issue critically and take it up. However, the issue of our salaries should be looked at so that we will know what we are taking. If you are taking 20 Ghana cedis at the end of the month, you know what you are going to spend that 20 Ghana cedis on. But you cannot be living on foreign aid, and good luck. Sometimes you go a-begging, which is not the best. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this statement.
Thank you very much. Let me come to Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the Leader of Government Business for the statement and the request that a committee be set up to look into this matter of pensions for members of Parliament. The leader is showing that apart from a lot of litigation on the standing orders that he will be doing, he will also have a lot of interest in welfare. Leader, may you live long. Mr. Speaker, I think what we need to do is to allow the committee to go and consider the options. And as was mentioned by the Honorable Kweku Kwarteng, refrain from tying the committee's hands in any way. Particularly also because the truth is that when it comes to matters of facilities or welfare of any of the arms of government, sometimes it's very easily misinterpreted. So I think we should allow the committee to go and do its work and come up with recommendations. But to the extent that some preliminary suggestions have been made on the floor, please permit me to disagree with some of my colleagues. This is an arm of government. Our conversation should not be about some other arm of government underwriting or supporting what this arm of government seeks to do. In fact, I dare say that our conversation should be that the matters under Article 71(1), when it comes to determining the conditions of service of a member of Parliament, should rather be expedited so that there's clarity on what your compensation is as a member of Parliament early enough, and out of that you take responsibility for your own pension arrangements. We are asking ordinary people, business people, civil servants to plan for their financial future and to take responsibility out of their own salaries for taking up whether life insurance policies or other things. So instead of worrying about which arm of government is coming to or should be invited to come and provide seed money or underwrite or support us, I think, let's leave it to the committee to go and do their work. But specifically because some of these suggestions have come up, I think we should be focused rather on urging the leader of government business and the government to inform the president to deal with Article 71(1) expeditiously, so that it's not at the end of your term as a member of parliament that your salary is determined and then made as a lump sum paid for you. How are you going to pay your premiums for your pension? Rather have it done expeditiously. Then you as MP, you know clearly that your salary is 4,000 or 5,000 cedis. And if you are underwriting a pension scheme and you are paying your premium for it, you know how much you are deducting and paying. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it's a good request by the leader, but I think we should let the committee go and do its work. And I think that we should focus as a House, as members of Parliament, on getting our conditions of service right. And out of that, we pay our premiums and get our pension. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, once I see Honourable Collins Dauda, I'm duty bound to call him. He's the eighth or ninth offer. You have the floor.
Thank you very Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lend my support to the statement ably made by the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, the statement is proposing the setting up or establishment of a pension scheme for members of Parliament. And when I listened to him, he said those about 65 years. Therefore, I cannot but support this important statement. Indeed, the statements that have been made are all very, very good. But let's not belabor it. It is too good to attract protracted debate. The maker of the statement says that a committee should be set up to look into the nitty-gritties of it. And then a report will be generated for the whole House to take a look at it. Mr. Speaker, I wish I had made a member of the committee. Mr. Speaker, I make this request because I have been in this parliament before. I'm still here, and I have the experience of being a member of parliament. I've been out of parliament. I have the experience of being out of parliament. Mr. Speaker, if we are out of parliament, the baggage that you carry when you are a member of parliament, if you are not lucky, outside parliament, you say carry that baggage. There are constituents who get so attached to you that they will never let you go. They will come with their school fees. When their relatives die, they will come to you to buy coffins, to bury their relations for you. So, if this pension scheme is established, it will cushion any member of parliament who exits. And so for me, I would plead with Mr. Speaker to bring this debate to a close and get the committee established with me as a member of the committee, so I can guide very well the experiences of a member of parliament and as a non-member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much, and I urge you humbly to allow the committee to be established. Thank you very much.
Yes, let me give the opportunity to a first-timer who, for obvious reasons, is also part of the group. It's like Honorable Collins Dada started from 1993 and is still here. So let's also get the side of someone who has just entered. So, Honorable Mahama.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And let me also commend the Leader of the House, the Honorable Mahama Ayerga, for that insight. Starting on that note means that there is hope for those of us who have just joined. We will be cared for, will be looked out for, and then our welfare would be actually be considered by the House moving forward. Mr. Speaker, the issue about pension for members of Parliament couldn't have come better for me. And as a newcomer, I've started feeling that life is not going to be easy if I'm not able to have a secured pension after whatever tenure I have served in this House. And the leader bringing this up means that we need to take it seriously, except to say that, associating with the point made by Honorable Koki Kwaten, that we should leave it open and a committee can be set for the purpose of determining the financing without prejudice to Order 262 of our standing orders, which provides for ad hoc committees. There is also a committee of the House Committee, which deals with matters of welfare of members. Order 222 of our standing orders makes provision for that. And I would think that we should rather defer the issues about the welfare discussion, including the pension, to that committee as a standing committee of the House, so that it will deal with that matter exhaustively, whilst we leave the financing bit to technical members of the House to help us with. So this is my submission on that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
You see, you know why Honorable Anodompe is running into the chamber. Yes. Let me listen to, you are part of leadership, so let me listen to Honorable Suhuyini, then I'll come to leadership.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this very important statement made by the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business. Mr. Speaker, I wish to first of all commend him for this laudable initiative. Mr. Speaker, however, I wish to remind the House that in the 8th Parliament, this same conversation was had on the floor, leading to you, Mr. Speaker, who was in the chair on that day, to instruct that a committee be formed for a similar tax. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the 8th Parliament died without any action being taken. Mr. Speaker, I can understand why perhaps little action or progress was made after the conversations which led to you instituting a committee. Because this conversation is a tricky one, especially for 7 members of Parliament. The assumption out there is that as members of Parliament, we are entitled to free fuel. We are entitled to free electricity. We are entitled to free water. In fact, we are entitled to free vehicles and free drivers. That's the expectation out there. And on top of that, we are paid huge sums of money at the end of every month. That is the perception out there. A perception that is very, very difficult to confront. In fact, we are even told sometimes that we are fed breakfast and lunch, full chicken, when we work here. Mr. Speaker, perhaps it is because I have had cause to say in private discussions that if you are not naturally a giving person, if you are not naturally one who is willing to share whatever you have, it may be very difficult for you to succeed in politics, especially African politics. And so it becomes difficult for people to understand that the MPs desire to share the little that they have doesn't mean that they don't have. It does not sometimes illustrate their desire to make sacrifices. It rather points to a non-existent abundance. Because naturally, people will want to keep what they have for themselves and their families. And so if you stand as a member of parliament and maybe by nature, by your upbringing, you are prone to giving and you give so much to society, it is forgiving and forgivable for society to begin to think that you are giving that much because you have so much, when the reality is that it is just because you have elected to serve. And so it becomes an embarrassment in some cases, even when you fail to serve. And so whatever you will do within your limited resources to serve, you do it. Mr. Speaker, I have said that sometimes the lifestyle of serving members of parliament can be likened to, figuratively, a pipeline that transmits water into your house. The pipeline is deceived into thinking that it is full of water until the GWCL locks the tap. And then it realizes that it is just a dry pipe without water. And that's what happens to many members of parliament when they leave this place. In the course of serving, because of the opportunities that you have here, you may begin to even feel wealthy and look wealthy. But once that tap is locked, then the reality dawns on you. And like our senior colleague said, the reality only hits you, the one who feels it, not those who have been dependent on you, because they continue to think that you still have that opportunity to serve. And it is true that we have all faced it in our lives. You meet members of parliament, and sometimes the shameful request, I call it shameful because it is demeaning of their status, that they make of you will get you thinking about your future in this house. So, Mr. Speaker, I agree with the leader of government business and the majority leader that it is an important thing for us to do. And I hope that this time around, the committee will perform better than the one that was set up during the 8th committee. I'm confident that the leader of government business will lead this and champion it and ensure that it is done. Contingent, especially on the years of service that one may have, done in this house. Contingent on age at which this pension can be accessed. And also contingent on, different sources of funding, including the contributions of members. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I agree with our senior colleague, Honorable Collins Dauda, that enough of the talking. Let's set the committee to begin work. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let me come to leadership. Honorable Attorney General wants to say something or no report, Secretary. NP. No report, Secretary. Yes, Honorable Minority Whip, I guess you were a member of the Defund Committee.
Speaker, did you say defund the former committee? Yes, I was. I served together with the new road minister. I served with him. Speaker, thank you for recognizing me, and I wish to comment briefly on the statement made by our respected leader of the House. First of all, it will not be out of place for me to join colleagues to commend the leader for showing the way, except to say that we started this conversation in the previous parliament. Respect to you, leader. The conversation, we had it, myself and the former whip, is something we've been talking for a very long time with the blessings of the Right Honourable Speaker. To the extent that Parliament had to finance a trip outside the jurisdiction for us to learn of best practices. I think Kenya and Uganda. So we came back with some absolute feedback in terms of what we can do, especially to contextualize the concept because of the unique happenings we have in our country. And I'm proud to say that the report is ready. There's a lot in that report. Probably we will have to give the majority leader a copy of that report so that he can apprise himself. I want to humbly suggest that it's a shame we are having this conversation at this time. We are, from all the parliament we've had, and if you look into the Hansard, you see that this is not the first time we are having such conversation. The question has always been, how do we break the inertia to be able to make do of the intention? The intent has always been good. And we've always followed through to it. We've spoken to it a lot. We've lamented enough of the problems. Speaker, I won't go far. Just here, Burkina Faso. I was privileged to have met a number of legislators from that country. And I was amazed at how comprehensive they've been able to put these things together. Speaker, oftentimes we have prided ourselves first to sign a number of international treaties, first to sign a number of democratic endeavors. But these things have eluded us for far too long. And I can only commend the majority leader who, for the fleeting period we've had working relationship, he's shown some good class. Except that the chief whip is not. We are hoping that the other matters that they have to attend to, I'm hoping he will make good use of it. And we can feel the impact of my good friend, the chief whip. So this is a very, very important matter. Again, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Speaker, Kenya, UK, Uganda, the experience is there. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Again, at Uganda, we were amazed. Speaker, they passed the first legislation, they practiced it, they amended it to incorporate differences, and now Uganda have a whole secretariat dedicated for members of parliament pension scheme. And when we heard them as they made presentation to us, the volume of premium that they've been paying over the years, it will beat your imagination. It will beat your imagination. It's not too late for us to start the process, and more often than not, when these matters come up and we speak to it, we become a punching bag of the public. No. There are other professions in this country who have pension schemes. So what we are doing is not anything untoward. The teachers have their pension scheme, or the doctors, other professions who have their pension scheme. Members of parliament is long overdue. We have to come together and give meanings to this good interment and turn it to a reality. Enough of the lamentations. Yes, the last parliament, Speaker, anytime we have to remember any of our members have passed on, that the matter of welfare and pension will always come in, where we'll speak, we put on the ashes and tear our clothes and lament enough, and yet we go to sleep. This day, we should change the action lines and give all the support and turn it to a reality. And this will be, leader, this will go as a feather in your cap. Of course, all of us will take pride in it, but you have blazed the trail and led the way. and all of us will follow suit. We in the minority will follow you and make sure we get this thing done as planned. So, but the point you made on carbon credit, I find it quite interesting. I don't know if it's something that, it's worth considering though, but there are other schools of thought, there are other experts who say that because of the motion we had to go through as a country in the determination of the NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, there are protocols that are established for the usage of the carbon credit fund. However, it's for us to decide as a House and communicate same to the executive. We are the controllers of the country's purse. If it is so decide, we so decide that in the interest of us and the interest of the representative of the people, funding from the carbon trade should be rededicated to the welfare of members. Some portion of it should be rededicated. I think it's a welcome news and it's something we have to look at. Speaker, having said this, I know there was a proposal for the formation of some member committee. I don't know what the pleasure of the majority leader is. If it is about 6, so we will know. Should we be, if it's 6, 2, 4, that's fine. I don't know what the criteria is, but I want to humbly suggest that on matters such as this, it's so fundamental that the whip should be packed. That's how I say it. I think the whip should be packed.
It's obvious. We are now going to form, and there's no way we can leave the whips.
I'm just suggesting. It's for the House to decide. So if it is 8, we'll think through. I don't know if the committee can be formed today. Leader, I don't know if you want it done now. If you want it done now, I may have to consult my colleagues and quickly we can do that. Yes. Speaker, so I thank you for the opportunity and I'm grateful. Once again, let me commend the majority leader for the show of leadership. Thank you, Speaker.
Very well. Yes. Majority.
Speaker, let me commend my leader for such a major policy statement. Indeed, it will lead to legislation, because when we back this with legislation, then we'll be properly guided in how the fund can be assessed when one's opportunity comes to benefit from it. Mr. Speaker, even the United Kingdom that we borrow nearly everything from, they only began in 1987. And with what they call the Parliamentary Contributory Pension Fund. And after the 2010 Constitutional Reform and Governance Reform Act was passed, they then brought what they called the Parliamentary and Other Pensions Act, Constitutional Reform and other regulations, and made it effective in October of 2011. So that is the regulation that governs the pension fund affecting their MPs, both the lower house and the upper house. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya, interestingly, Kenya began it before the UK. Kenya actually passed the first legislation sometime in 1983, and assent was given to the law in 1983, and the law became effective in July 1984. They subsequently, in 2012 and 2020, brought amendment to that legislation, and as recently as August last year, in 2024, they passed the amendment to bring some improvement to the law, so that, for instance, the office that handles the processing of the pension won't do so more than 60 days. They have only 60 days to process benefits when they are due. That's what the legislation, because one of the problems they were having was that when members are entitled, it took so long for the benefits to be processed. So the amendment was effected to the law to limit it to less than 60 days. Then, Mr. Speaker, you want to look at Tanzania. And Tanzania has a similar legislation in what they called the Political Service Retirement Benefits Act 2020 Cap 225. That legislation also mandates the Tanzanian government to pay benefits to MPs especially and other political office holders when they serve a minimum term of 6 years in office. Mr. Speaker, I scan other countries, and Canada also has a similar legislation. Mr. Speaker, under the Canadian regime, they are what they call MPs Retiring Allowance Act 1985. And under that legislation, any MP who served in the Canadian Parliament for 6 years or more is entitled to benefit from that fund. And what the law also does in Canada is that you can actually take an early benefit under the fund, especially when you are 55 years or more and you have served 6 years or more in the Canadian Parliament. So these are pieces of legislation that can guide the committee that will be mandated to handle this matter and bring the report. Mr. Speaker, so with these words, I'm empowered by my leader to propose the following names to constitute the committee. The Honorable Collins Dauda, of course, will be a member. Yes. The Honorable Samson Ahi will also be a member. Then we are including 2 first-timers from our side, also gender balance. So the Honorable Ataisa, the member for Sanarigu, will also be a member. Then our sister, the Honorable Millicent Yabua Amankwa, will also be a member. Then the Honorable Suhini will also be a member. Then from our side, from the minority side, will be constituted by, of course, the Chief Whip, the Honorable Stephen Amwa, as well as Dr. Kabiru, my brother. So what's the membership? No, you have 3. Four. Okay. Then also Honorable Frimpong Ado Frimpong will also be a member. So, Mr. Speaker, if we have your blessing, these are the proposed members of the committee, and because we are also to not leave out our former MPs, we are considering maybe appointing a former member of parliament to serve as a consultant in some way, so that the views and interests of members who have who agree. Yes, Honorable Kuto. Two former members. We'll review. Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, once we agree on how many former MPs will include, will advise the name, so that this committee will be properly constituted to immediately move to deal with that matter. Mr. Speaker, with these words, I thank you for the opportunity, and once again, Leader, thank you for bringing this matter to the House.
Honourable members, I think we will have to thank the Leader of the House to revisit this particular issue. Like Honourable Suhini said, last year, or the 8th Parliament, within one meeting, we paid tribute of, I think, 8 or 9 to our former members. 9 members of our former members of this House, we paid tribute to them just within one meeting. And that actually signaled us to look into our welfare. Because at times you listen to how they all pass away. Some of them are just basic things that they couldn't afford. And that is why we decided to look into our own welfare and how best we can at least satisfy ourselves when we retire from this chamber. So, Leader, let me thank you personally for revisiting this particular issue. And I think the previous report is there. They can just revisit it and add it to your committee and probably see how best we can quickly address this issue. I don't know the committee if we have to give them timelines.
Speaker, we want to give them an initial time frame of 60 days. 60 days. And we advise, there's an existing report. So we advise them with their terms of reference.
6 weeks.
And we also,
6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 45 days. 45 days. Then we are also proposing that the Honorable Collins Dauda
be the
chairperson of the committee. Yes. So 45 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Speaker.
So,
yes.
Honorable Collins Dauda's committee, we are expecting a report within 90 days. Honorable Collins Dauda's committee.
Yes, it will be called the Collins Dauda Committee.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence to draw attention to a creeping development that I've noticed in the last 2 days. And if we don't address it, it may fester. My leader is one person that I've admired here. He's always been apt with his dressing, but over the last 2 days, I have seen he's not been properly dressed. Yesterday, he had dressed this house, dressed the way I am without a necktie on it, and today he's appeared the same way. I took a lot of cue from the way he dresses in this house. There are new members of the House who may follow suit. So I just thought I should draw your attention to that so that you can put it right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minority Whip.
Speaker, I thought I had a friend in my honorable member. In fact, we have related so well. This surprise is indeed surprising. However, Speaker, I will encourage my colleague to up his sense of fashion. I will encourage him to up his sense of fashion. Speaker, I am spot on.
Very spot on.
In fact, I have a dependable wife who always directs me in terms of what to wear to this house.
Very, very spot on.
And I have my able lieutenant.
Very, very spot on.
So I can understand him. He has been waiting for too long. The news is not coming.
It is coming.
He should keep to prayer. He should be praying and be fasting. The news will come. And Speaker, he should take a cue from the Honorable Ahmed. When the Honorable Ahmed's name had not been mentioned, he kept to prayer and fasting. And eventually, the Honorable Ahmed's name came out. In fact, I sympathize with him a lot. He has been waiting for too long. And there are no signs. So, you should probably take a cue, and I'm sure for your dedication to this house, all of us are aware of your hard work on the Finance Committee. I'm not sure His Excellency the President will gloss over you, except that you have to keep to prayer and fasting. So I invite you to rule him out.
Honorable Dongo, well noted. You have concerns.
I'm sorry I have to do this. It's not about dress code, dress sense. It's about dress code of the house.
Yes.
It is about dress code.
Your concerns
so
is well
it may
noted.
be nice if you wear it outside and you look funky, but when you come to this house, we have a dress code.
Honorable Dongo.
It's not about fashion.
Honorable Dongo, I'm saying your concerns have been taken notice of. So I mean, we will revisit this particular issue. I don't think we are going there.
Mr. Speaker, we are not going there. I just wanted to draw the attention of the honorable member for Bolga Central that it is not every shirt that you put a tie on.
Honorable member.
It's not every shirt you put a tie on. So that is look, this is a tunic shirt and you don't put tie on it. It's not every shirt you put a tie on. And he's properly dressed. The minority whip is properly dressed.
Honorable members, we will discuss this later on, please. So, leadership, any indication? Should we continue with my backbenchers? You are second timer.
The chairman of the appointments committee.
Tomorrow.
The chairman of the appointments committee wants to lay some report, the 8th report, and then come back and take.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I intend to lay the 8th report, move the motion for the 8th report, and then come back to move the motion for the 7th report.
Why? Why do you want to move the motion for the 8th report before the 7th report?
Right, Honorable Speaker, a decision was taken and we resort to a negotiation, and that is being changed.
So that's the decision of the appointment committee?
That is so.
Okay, very well.
That is so. So the report for the 7th is being changed. A small correction is being done.
Then kindly give me a copy of the 8th report. I don't have the 8th report. Your people don't go.
Yes. Speaker, with your leave and indulgence, just to find out from our respected leader of the House on a matter that was raised on the House floor by the minority side. Such matter relates to some concerns we have with the Ablekuma North election. I think back and forth, the leadership had been charged. Would you listen, please, with all respect? Leadership had been charged to follow up and to apprise members in due course. I know the majority leader has followed up and he has some news because our backyard is curious, very interested in knowing what the outcome is. May I seek your leave for the leader of the House based on earlier engagement we had at Conclave to carry the House along what has been done so far and what is left to be done so that we can all be carried along duly. Speaker, thank you.
Very well. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have some reports that I will present to you of the situation in relation to Ablekuma North. If you recall, last Friday, we had some unpleasant developments in the chamber, and the issue turned around the question of the declaration of the results of Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary elections. I promised colleagues that I will go into the matter and see what we can do about it. Mr. Speaker, I spent the weekend actually investigating and engaging the various actors. I went to the regional police commander. I spoke to the persons responsible for elections on the side of the NDC, and I tried to reach out to some people at the EC. The issue that was raised in this chamber by our friends on the minority side related to some claim that the court had ordered that the police should go and provide armed protection to the Electoral Commission so that they can recollate the results of Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary elections. I have cited the court order. There is indeed a court order that is supposed to have been executed before or on the 6th.
Sorry, ordinarily I won't do this. The leader just made a statement that the court order was to recollate. No, it was to complete the collation.
Honorable, let's at least once he flows, we will get to know all the.
Mr. Speaker, I will respect it for the record. It's important.
Yeah, so it was to complete the collation of the results of the constituency, and the police reported to me that indeed they went to the constituency, there were issues, so they relocated the coalition exercise to the Regional Electoral Commission office. The process continued, and they collated all the results except the results of 7 polling stations, and they needed the presiding officers to come and authenticate scanned pink sheets that both parties had agreed should be used for the collation exercise. 5 presiding officers turned up. They confirmed that the scanned pink sheets indeed were scanned pink sheets that they had actually produced. Somehow, one of them raised questions about an indication on one of the pink sheets that there were 3 rejected ballot papers. And the NDC side said, well, if the presiding officer is raising questions about some figure on the scanned pink sheet, then they will not accept the inclusion of that pink sheet. And so that led to some scuffle, and the police decided to postpone the completion of the exercise to a future date. So as we speak, 3 polling stations' pink sheet results have not been included. The pink sheets are scanned because both sides and the Electoral Commission don't have the original pink sheets. The results of the 3 polling stations put together can swing the elections in favor of either side. The results of the 3 can swing the election in favor of either side. NDC could win or NPP could win. So it is crucial to take a decision on the 3 polling stations. They fixed a date according to the regional commander. He prepared his men to go and then supervise, so the electoral commission will take a decision on the 3 and decide whether they are including them or not. But received a call from head office asking him to hold on because there was some engagement going on at a higher level. They didn't tell him at what level. So the police have always been ready to provide protection to anybody who is responsible for putting together or collating the results. There's supposed to be some dialogue going on. So I need a little more time because I want to go to the Electoral Commission, meet them and find out exactly what is holding them. Now, there was another allegation that the parliamentary candidate of Ablekuma North was attacked. I don't want to use this word in the chamber. For the PC of the NPP was attacked. So when I inquired from the regional police command, he said that there was no such attack on the parliamentary candidate of the NPP in Ablekuma North. In my presence, he placed calls to the regional crime officer who said he didn't receive any such report. They called the district crime officer, he said he didn't receive any report. We asked him to check from all the police stations within that constituency to see if such a report was made to any of the stations, and it turned out that there was no such report of an attack on the parliamentary candidate of the NPP in Ablekuma North. That is what I know for now, and I have conveyed the message to the Minority Chief Whip, and that is what he wants me to report to the House. I promise you that I'll go into the matter, and that is why I am going into the matter. Just to say that this House, as you know, has no mandate to go into electoral matters. This House has no mandate to go into electoral matters. All I can do is to try to ascertain the facts and report to you what the facts are. If the matter relates to the conduct of the police, then we could have invited the Interior Minister to, answer questions why the police is not complying with a court order to provide protection. But it is not the police. The police are ready at all times to provide protection. Indeed, the police co-opted the prison service, the fire service, the immigration service, all the services, they mobilized them in order to have the necessary troops to be able to provide whatever protection is needed. And so the police have done their work. The only issue is that 3 outstanding polling stations, and there's some dialogue going on. Let's just give them some time and see how the Electoral Commission resolves the matter. That basically is what I have for the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. Yes.
Speaker, not to belabor the point, safe to say that, let me appreciate the interventions of the Leader of the House, and also add that as a suggestion, probably it will be appropriate if the leader works hand in hand with the minority leader. And also to appreciate that, yes, indeed, our locus in this matter, in terms of law, is limited. However, it's to show leadership. And colleagues, we have to understand that what has happened at Ablekuma can happen to any of us. They are simply shepherding the process and to ensure that what is right is executed eventually. In conclusion, I think Ablekuma, there are lessons that can be drawn from. Lessons that can genuinely be drawn from Domi Kwabenya. where on a number of the polling stations, pink sheets that were destroyed, the Electoral Commission used scanned copies. These are lessons that leadership can help, not to dictate to the EC, but also guide, so that eventually the EC can navigate and get these matters resolved. But just to commend my leader and to plead with him to carry the minority leader along this path of ensuring that we have a good guidance and navigate properly. So I thank you for the indulgence. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. Other people. Honourable members, let me invite you to page 2. Page 2, item listed 7, presentation of papers. So let me invite the chairman of the appointment committee to present the report of the eight report. Very well.
Okay. 8th report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointment as ministers.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented. They are to be distributed to honourable members. Are we taking the motion of report 8 or report 7?
Right, Honorable Speaker, because we are taking it out of 10, we have to take motion 11 now.
Okay. So, honourable members, let's turn to page 3. Page 3.
Right, Honorable Speaker, motion numbered 8 before 10 before 11. The procedural motion.
Yes, I'm coming. So let's turn to page 3, item listed 10. Item listed 10, chairman of the committee.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that notwithstanding the provisions of Order 1041 of the standing orders, which requires that a motion shall not be debated until at least 2 sitting days have elapsed. After the notice to move the motion is given, the motion for the adoption of the 8th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers may be moved today. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Honourable members, the motion has been moved. Yes, honourable member for.
Mr. Speaker, it's Weja Bawe.
Weja Bawe. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion, save that I have indicated to the Honourable Chair that I have found. Very well. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Honourable members, the motion listed 10 has been moved and it has been seconded. This is just for procedural motion, so I'll go ahead and put the question. All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The procedural motion is hereby adopted. Yes. So, Chairman, let's take the substantive one, motion 11.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this Honorable House adopt the 8th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. Right Honorable Speaker, in doing so, I present the committee's report. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee's report captured the vetting of Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum, Honorable Linda Obiniwa Akwele Oklu, and Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ajay. Mr. Speaker, with your leave, may I correct page 10, paragraph 4.29, second line of the report. Honorable Speaker, instead of Honorable Alfred Oko Vanderpoy, it should read Honorable Nilante Vanderpoy. And right Honorable Speaker, wherever you see minister, deputy should precede the minister.
Come again.
Right Honorable Speaker, the name Honorable Alfred Oko Vanderpoy, the former minister responsible, should be Honorable Nilante Vanderpoy.
Yes, that correction has been made.
Very well. Right Honorable Speaker, Nilante Vanderpoy was deputy minister. So the consequential amendment should be made to the effect that wherever you see minister in this paragraph referring to Nilante Vanderpoy, deputy should precede the minister. So there should be insertion of the word deputy before minister.
Well.
Right Honorable Speaker, as usual, questions were posed to the above-mentioned nominees. They provided exhaustive answers to the questions. The report has captured all the respective questions and answers posed to the designated ministers in relation to their respective ministries. They've answered them. It's captured in the report. I therefore urge the Hansa Department to capture the entire report as having been read. As I proceed to read the conclusion. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the committee, in accordance with Article 78(1) of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and Standing Order 217, considered the nominations submitted by His Excellency the President. After thorough deliberations, the committee finds the nominees competent, knowledgeable, and well-suited for their respective ministerial roles. The committee therefore recommends to the House by consensus the adoption of its report and the approval of the nomination of Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum, Minister of State for Special Initiatives, Honorable Linda Obiniwa Akwele Oklu as Minister for Greater Accra Region, and Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ajay as Minister for Works and Housing and Water Resources. Right Honorable Speaker, I therefore urge upon the House to adopt the committee's report and accordingly, by the same spirit of unanimity, approve the President's nominees. Right Honorable Speaker, I so submit. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, honorable members, the motion has been moved. Yes. Honorable member for Empraeso.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the chairman of the Appointments Committee of this August House. Mr. Speaker, we indeed monitored proceedings of the Appointments Committee, and in particular, the vetting of my good friend Emmanuel Kojo Ejekum, who His Excellency the President has nominated him to be the Minister of State in charge of special initiatives. Indeed, if you listen to what the gentleman said at his vetting, it tends to me that Kojo Ejekum will be more of a utility player in this government, because his assignment spans through several ministries. He will be working with the Minister for Railways, Minister in charge for Railways Development, and his focus is on railway development in urban and rural areas. Mr. Speaker, that has been one of the key challenges that we have faced as a people. I mean, I have had accident on this Accra and Sawam stretch, so heading to Kumasi. And if we had a reliable railway system that would transport people from Accra to Kumasi, from Kumasi to Tamale, I think that is going to ease a lot of pressure on our routes, and it's going to help transport not only persons but goods. So I was impressed with his response when it came to issues of railway development in urban and rural areas. He's also looking at the labor export program. Of course, that will be overlapping with issues with the Ministry of Labor. Is looking at green transition policy. And under this government, we have seen the president appoint somebody responsible for green transition. We have seen the president appoint somebody responsible for environment. So I was wondering what the Minister for Special Initiatives will be doing in the areas of green transition. But we live to see, and we wish him all the best. The Speaker, he also talked about infrastructure development for electric vehicles. This is something that is new to our system. I've seen offices now develop ports for electric charging for vehicles and all of that. And it's one area where I am hoping and urging that the president of the day, the president of Ghana, looks at. But Mr. Speaker, it's instructive to also appreciate that the person involved, Emmanuel Kojo Ejekum, is a diligent man. Having served with him on the Works and Housing Committee of this August House, I developed a good working relationship with him, and I believe that if he is to take that attitude to that ministry, it's indeed going to help him, and it's indeed going to help his ministry, and indeed going to help the state. The Speaker, I wish him well in that area. I listened to our sister Linda Obiniwa Akwele Oklu. Of course, she tends to be the minister designate who spent the least time with the committee. And it goes to affirm commitment, it goes to affirm diligence in this house. Of course, we monitor each other. And when you come and you spend 10 hours with the committee, it tells you what the Ghanaians will say, Osuka Obany. So clearly, the minister's short time clearly indicates diligence in this house, and that at the committee level, they saw virtually nothing wrong with that. But I would urge to look at issues of sanitation. Mr. Speaker, I have lived my entire life in the capital of Accra, and one of the well, I have lived in a community called Adedenko, British Accra. Mr. Speaker, one of the challenges we have had in central Accra has been issues of sanitation. I mean, issues of disposing of waste has been a headache. And I'm praying that as a minister for Greater Accra, minister responsible for the Greater Accra, the capital of Ghana, she does a lot more to improve on issues of sanitation. Mr. Speaker, for Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ejay, the Minister Designate for Works, Housing and Water Resources, he did excellently well when he appeared before the committee. The Speaker, he spoke about the preparedness of the role of the Works the role of the Minister for Works and Housing, and some of the challenges that they face. Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly interested in issues of what we call sun winning. In fact, that has been a challenge in this country, and how the state is addressing these challenges. Of course, along the coastal lines, we have had challenges. At a point, members of the Works and Housing Committee had to travel to Keta. We had to go to Aflao, just to experience for ourselves the difficulties that our compatriots face in these communities. But I would urge the minister, if it's approved by this House, to consider looking into some of the costs associated with that area. I mean, it's important for him to review and see if the mega resources that will be allocated to him can do more. That said, we saw the challenges in the last parliament. We saw the challenges that the Minister for Works and Housing faced with the finance ministers of Ghana. If you give them less resources, they will do less work. And I'm urging Honorable Atuforsen, the Minister responsible for Finance, to release more monies to the Ministry for Works and Housing. Yes. So it's important.
Honorable Member, please address me.
To ensure the effectiveness of the ministry, and to ensure that the President's vision for issues of housing and works is seen. We release more monies to them so that they can also improve on our housing facilities in our country. With this,
answering questions from members with regards to the continuation of the One Village, One Dam and other special initiatives that were started by the previous regime. He answered all the questions very well, and I believe, if approved, he will perform diligently in the new role that is going to be assigned. And then touching on Honorable Kenneth Ejay, I was enthused about his answers regarding our coastal erosion problems that we have. The nominee was very emphatic that at least coastal erosion management was capital intensive, and knowing the tight fiscal space that this country is facing, he is thinking of exploring other funding sources like PPPs in order to be able to achieve that. And I think that is a laudable initiative that he's bringing on board to ensure that he's able to carry out the mandate that has been assigned to him. Also, being a former deputy minister, I think he's learned a lot on the job as a deputy minister, which, if he's able to carry along to bring onto his new role as a substantive minister, will help him to discharge his duties fully. But let me remind Honorable Ajay that we also have a lot of drainage issues in our constituencies, and I know he's going to be approved, and when he's approved, he should consider us. We'll be knocking at his doors so that he could be of help to us. Our sister Linda, we all know, very cool, collected, and in fact, the fact that she spent less time attests to the fact that the House, we all accept her as somebody who's qualified for the job. And I would therefore urge my colleagues that we should all rally behind the report and then at least approve the nominees just as has been recommended by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And then I'll urge my colleagues to all rally around and then we'll approve them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, Kofi, Honorable Kofi Yaman-Kwame.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice for the approval of the President's nominees for the various ministries. But as it is often said, charity, they say, begins at home. And so I will start with Kenneth Ajay, who happens to be my constituent, comes from my constituency. Besides that, he's being a deputy minister of defense. And so it is always appropriate for me to start from home. The Honorable Kenneth Ajay, as a deputy defense minister, I believe distinguished himself very well. When I assumed office as a deputy defense minister, there was not a single day that somebody raised an issue which was negative about the Honorable Kenneth Ajay. If you look at the questions that were posed to him and the answers he gave, it tells of a person who is ready, a person who is served, a person who has gone through the mill and ready to assume higher position. I have no doubt at all that the Honorable Kenneth Ajay will go to the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources to distinguish himself. In Achuma Kwangoma, we always do and give all the best. He's been brought up well, and he has been taught how to serve. And so I have no doubt at all that my brother will go to shine. Yes, he has a responsibility to go to the ministry to lift high the banner of Achuma Kwangoma. We from Achuma Kwangoma will support him and will do everything to make sure that he succeeds. Mr. Speaker, one question which was posed to my brother had to do with the provision of accommodation, in fact, not just accommodation, but decent accommodation for our security agencies. It's very important that we look at the provision of befitting accommodation for our security agencies. In fact, in most cases, when you go to, let me use the Central Police Station, if you go there and you see where some of our security agents are sleeping, honestly, you ask yourself if indeed sleeping in such places they can really wake up the following morning and give up their best in protecting the citizenry of this country. And so his preparedness to work to ensure that he does provide decent accommodation for security agencies is something that I believe most Ghanaians will support. And it is something most Ghanaians will be looking up to, because we need indeed to give our security agents the best and decent accommodation. With regards to the erosion of our coastal areas, my brother made a point that because government kitty is not too huge to support some of these expensive projects, he will do what it takes to explore other areas to see if we can get the needed capital to go into some of these capital-intensive projects. I wish my brother well, and my prayers and the prayers of Achuma Kwangoma are with him. With regards to the Honorable Linda Oklu, I served on the Agri Committee with her. She's always been the quiet type. She's always been the mother. She's always been a nice person. And so I was not surprised that she had barely 10 minutes at the vetting. The least, as my colleague Ansa said, it tells the kind of relationship she's been able to build in this house. One thing I'll ask my sister to also avert her mind to has to do with congestion in the central Accra area. I think that it's always been a problem trying to drive some of these people away. But she has to be tough. She has to stay focused to do that which is right for our capital, Greater Accra. The Honorable Ajekum, a very nice and a gentleman, soft-spoken. I was not surprised that he got the appointment. He's one person I was really expecting to possibly be made a minister. And so I'm not surprised that his name was mentioned. Yes, we will support him. We will give him all the needed ideas and the needed support so that our country can move forward. A better Ghana will be a better place for all of us. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity.
It's now the turn of Honorable Dominic Napari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the report of the 8th Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by thanking the President for the crop of personalities he's appointing as his ministers. The Speaker, looking at the 8th report involving Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum, the Minister of State for Special Initiatives, Honorable Linda Ohinewa Akwele Okulu, Minister Designate for Greater Accra, and then Honorable Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, the Honorable Minister Designate for Western Housing, indicates that the President is actually in for serious business. Mr. Speaker, looking at Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum, a colleague in Parliament who has distinguished himself in various ways where he has played his role. For example, Mr. Speaker, he was made the District Chief Executive for Nkranza North, and he played a key role. I remember I was a colleague, also a District Chief Executive in Senate, and his outstanding performance as a District Chief Executive clearly indicates that the appointment as a minister designated for special initiatives, he would perform his duties creditably. Mr. Speaker, not only that, Honorable Ajekum was a minister, a deputy minister for local government in the previous government. And Mr. Speaker, if you see the way he carried his duties, it was really commendable. And as a colleague, we could attest to how smart he was, how intelligent he was in the performance of his role. Honorable Kojo Agyekum will fit into this to assist the President to actualize this particular dream. Mr. Speaker, he also mentioned about the green transition policy, which the President also intends to initiate. And we know that there has been this issue of climate change and how it affects the environment in the country. We also know this issue of Galamsey and how it is having devastating effects for the country. And I think that when we have people like Honorable Agyekum to partner the President to embark on this green transition policy, it will help to bring back the forest covers that we have, in spite of the fact that we have a separate ministry for that. Mr. Speaker, during the vetting, a lot of questions were asked in diverse ways, and one that thrilled me, which I want to mention, is about the Farmers Service Centers and then the Women Development Bank, which the government intends to initiate, and also the 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, you agree with me that these are all novel situations that are being brought into the country. And I think that having people to assist the President to actualize his dreams will go a long way to assist us. Mr. Speaker, we also have Honorable Linda Okulu, who was also part of the nominees vetted. And Linda Okulu is one of us, and we all know her, how she's been very serious with her duties and how punctual she is and the way she conducts herself. And we have no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that Honorable Linda Okulu will live up to the task in the Greater Accra region. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I will urge our colleagues to approve the nominees of the President to assist in the performance of his duties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Nobody from this side? Yes, my brother, let me hear. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me listen to former Minister for Roads and Highways.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise in full support of the nominees for consideration for ministerial appointment. The first one is Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Agyekum as Minister of State, designated for special initiatives. I had opportunity to watch his vetting, and it is without doubt that he's very much prepared for his ministry. Very humble guy, well composed, and well brought up in all respects to be able to handle this special initiative ministry. The other person is Honorable Linda Ohinewa Akwele Okulu. I was also happy to be at the vetting. Unfortunately, she didn't get opportunity to answer any question. But I must put on record that she came to the vetting with an array of political giants from the various political divides. 2 former regional ministers from the NDC and 2 former regional ministers from the MPP. It shows that he's somebody who can bring people together. And given the region of Greater Accra region, it's important that you have someone who is well placed to bring people together. So without doubt, I expect her to do very well as minister. Honorable Speaker, of particular importance to me is Honorable Kenneth Gilbert Ejay, for 2 reasons. First of all, he is going to the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources, which many will know that I had the opportunity to serve as minister for 3 years in the previous administration. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important ministry. At the vetting, I had the opportunity to mention that of the 3 most basic needs of man, which is water, food, and shelter, this ministry alone has responsibility for 2 of them. That should tell us that it is a very important ministry. And for the president to nominate him for that ministry speaks volumes of his capacity and his readiness to serve. He touched on very important issues, especially on rental housing. Mr. Speaker, rental housing is very key as far as the housing market is concerned. I keep on saying that even in the most advanced countries, it's not everybody who can own a home, even in America. And in Ghana, where home ownership is not an easy thing to do, rental housing is something that the government must place a lot of attention on. The Speaker will recall that the previous MPP administration instituted what we call National Rental Assistance Scheme, where this scheme is helping to pay rent advance for low-income earners in our society. As we speak, this scheme has benefited over 2,600 households, low-income households. But it's obvious that a lot of people need this initiative, has to benefit from this initiative. But government couldn't commit a lot of resources given the budgetary constraints. So I had the opportunity to engage the nominee on that, and he assured that he will make sure that he will bring in private sector financing. That will be very innovative, and I look forward to that. Apart from that, he also touched on other issues which demonstrated that he's been well briefed and very well placed to handle this important ministry. So, Mr. Speaker, on this note, I want to say that I'm in full support of the 3 nominees, and I wish them very well in their new endeavor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Francis Asensubuachi. Yes, my brother. No, hold on. What's your name?
Daniel Bisi.
Daniel Bisi. Fine.
Yes.
You can take the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion on the floor. I would like to start with the Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum, the Minister Designate for Special Initiatives. I listened keenly to the vetting yesterday or so of the Minister. And then one important area he touched, which allayed my fears, was on the issue of the Women's Development Bank, and as to whether it will be constituency-based and he says that he will listen to the advice of the President, since he's working directly and reporting to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. I want to add my voice by suggesting that he should put in more effort so that the bank will be decentralized to our various constituencies. At least it will make it accessible to our women rather than all of them running to the central spot where, bureaucracy will kill that dream. I urge him to support this House, since he's a member of this House, on that line, advocating that we need it at our constituencies. I will. Then to my regional minister designate, Honorable Linda Obiniwa Akwele Oklu. I want to express my thanksgiving to the vetting committee for at least appreciating her conduct over the years and then giving her that beautiful reward. But to add, my dear sister, you know the challenges I am facing in my constituency in Sege with the issues of the Songo Lagoon. Once you are approved, please come to our aid. And I am saying this, I'm sure my sister, my leader, Honorable Doyo, is also listening. Then to the Minister Designate for Works, Housing and Water Resources. Please, majority of my main communities are washed off by the sea erosion. Notable among them Aklabanya, Anyamam, Goy, Lolonya. And I'm happy with the answer he gave on funding. He said alternative funding will be looked for. I pray it is not just the words, but it will really be done to allay the fears of my people. Sometimes they go to bed, in the next morning, their houses are flooded. I want to believe that this statement from my minister on alternative funding will be adhered to, so that we, the people of Sege, which is a coastal community and a constituency, can go to bed knowing that the next morning we will still be alive. With these few words, I encourage the House to approve the nominees to their respective ministries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. Let me now turn to Ekweapem North.
Mr. Speaker, just as other colleagues have stated, I would like to associate myself fully on the recommendation and also urging the House to approve His Excellency the President's nominees as they've been also duly vetted. However, I would like to also, in furtherance of that, when I take the report, 4.0 speaks of the name Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum. And then 4.1 says Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum. I'm sure since it's a House of Records, maybe we may have to correct that. Secondly, and much more importantly, he is also to oversee the implementation of the green transition as part of his schedule. So, Speaker, along the line, I'm sure the presidency and that of government may have to also bring clarity as to which of these ministries or appointees who have to oversee this implementation of the green transition. I'm saying this with respect to the fact that if you take the Ministry for Energy, it's now Ministry for Energy and Green Transition. Secondly, you have a Minister of State in charge of special initiatives with a schedule also to oversee the implementation of a green transition. The United Nations Conference of Parties, post-2020, I think at COP27 at Sharm el-Sheikh, they designated the Environmental Protection Agency as the focal agency to also implement Ghana's green transition. It was also at this particular conference that Ghana also launched the National Energy Transition Policy. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm bringing this to the attention of the House so that subsequently we can have clarity as to which of these agencies, which of these ministries is properly going to address this transition into this green energy that we're talking about. Else, at a point in time, you may have members filing questions and we may not know which exactly, or which of the agencies or the ministries that we want them to address these matters appropriately. However, I believe that these nominees have distinguished themselves well, and I'll urge the House to also approve them accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Samuel Oku. Yes, I'll take the last person, which is Honorable Fisher Jane.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate my dear friend, Honorable Linda Okru, and Emmanuel, my own brother Emmanuel Kojo Ajikum, and my brother Kenneth Ejay. Mr. Speaker, I am beyond happy on their appointment as Greater Accra Minister. Mr. Speaker, my own brother, Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajikum, is a brother and a friend. We come from the same region. I know him very well. And then I remember when he used to be, yes, very well, because he's my brother. I remember when he used to be a local government, the things that he did over there, that really, really, really very good and helpful. And my friend Linda was my friend and colleague, 7th Parliament. We are all here together, and I know her very well. We share one committee together, a gender committee. So I know her, and I know that she's very capable of doing or becoming a very good minister at the Greater Accra. Mr. Speaker, I am so happy, and I'm beyond happy on the appointment and state in change of special initiative especially. This is a testament to your head of state in charge of the resetting agenda. Yes, Mr. Speaker. I know very well that your leadership and vision will, without a doubt, bringing about and bringing positive change and growth to you, your respective professional. I am confident that your expertise and passion will inspire and motivate others to work towards common goals. Once again, Right Honorable Speaker, I congratulate my brother, Honorable Ajikum Linda, and my brother, Kenneth Ejay. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Now, leadership.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I start with the Greater Accra Regional Minister Designate. Mr. Speaker, she had the shortest of vetting time, and my understanding is that she has the capacity to come and deliver. Mr. Speaker, in Greater Accra, there are few issues I thought I should bring to her notice. On the 2nd October 2024, the English Alata chief priest was murdered in cold blood. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, one of the issues that caused or is alleged to have caused the murder of this chief priest is because of chieftaincy dispute. Mr. Speaker, in Greater Accra, there are few of such disputes. And my prayer is that the regional minister designate will bring to bear the competencies she's been able to gain over the period, and to as much as possible support the local government minister, local government and chieftaincy minister, resolve most of these problems which are pending. Mr. Speaker, in Greater Accra, we also have a lot of land litigations. Honorable Majority Chief Whip Roxinda Fiamekpo will bear testimony to this. And Mr. Speaker, if a tenure is going to be an exciting one of the things you would have to do as chairperson of RECSEC is also to ensure that authority is fully invoked on how to deal with matters of land litigation in Greater Accra and land guardism. Mr. Speaker, finally, on the issue of sanitation, most of the municipal and metropolitan and district assemblies will need to have the collaboration of the regional minister to rid the city, especially Accra, rid it of filth and squalor, which we are so overwhelmed with. Mr. Speaker, my prayer is that the Honorable Minister, when fully approved by this venerable House, would be in motion to take care of all these problems I have enumerated. Mr. Speaker, the nominee on Works and Housing and Water Resources. In my constituency, Wijagbawi, we have a major problem with reference to the threat of Ghana Water to pull down structures of people living around the Wija Dam. Mr. Speaker, our prayer is that during yesterday's vetting, we saw is the minister-designate is very calm, very responsive. He showed prowess of a caring person. And our prayer, really, is that he will show care to the people within the precincts that we have discussed. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the Minister of State in charge of special initiatives, he excelled during the vetting. He showed a lot of composure. He also showed that he is a man for the job. And like my senior colleague earlier stated, he showed the features of a utility player. We pray that all these men and women of high repute, when this House gives them the final approval, they would go and show to the Ghanaian people that they are really ready and willing to serve them. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Thank you. Honorable, are you going to speak? Oh, anyway, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to the motion moved by our able chairperson for the vetting committee. Mr. Speaker, I will start from home. Honorable Linda Akwele Oklu, that's the Minister Designate for Greater Accra. Mr. Speaker, she's a woman of few words, but action woman. Nobody should underrate her. She is going to deliver. I have been with her in Greater Accra. She's part of the Women Caucus. And when you speak about action and you bypass Linda Oklu, then you miss your way. Mr. Speaker, this is a woman who is quick to act, but she doesn't talk too much. And these are the people we are looking for, that he will give us what we want, but he won't speak too much. She won't speak too much. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Works and Housing also told us a lot of things that he's coming to do for us. But as my brother from Sege said, we have a lot of problem when it comes to sea erosion. Azizakwe, Kewuno, Pediatokope, all the rest, there is a bigger problem there. So for him, we'll just give him accommodation in Adan, in between Adan and Sege, so that he can focus and work in those areas, so that we will have, those in those areas will have their freedom. Mr. Speaker, Emmanuel Kojo Jekum spoke about, he is a minister designate for special initiative. Others want to know what initiatives he is going to work on.
His Excellency John Dramani Mahama have a lot of initiatives, and he's going to surprise Ghanaians. That's why he has been asked to come and work on that. So Ghanaians should have hope in these ministers and pray for them. And I know a lot of them, they are not going to talk too much, but they will deliver. So we pray for them so that they can succeed and deliver for Ghanaians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, I'll put the question, and the question is all those in favor of the motion listed 11. Yes, I'm putting the question. Honorable members, all those in favor of the motion listed 11 in today's order paper, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, it is obvious the ayes have it. The motion is hereby adopted. And that this Honorable House has approved His Excellency the President's nomination of Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ejekum as Minister of State Designate for Special Initiatives. Honorable Linda Obenewa Akwele Okru as Minister Designate for Greater Accra Region. And Honorable Kenneth Gilbert Ejing as Minister Designate for Works, Housing, and Water Resources. Honorable members, on behalf of the House, let me extend our congratulations to our colleagues. We pray that they will make us proud. Yes, Honorable Chairman for Appointment Committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to, on behalf of Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ejekum, Honorable Linda and Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ajay to unanimously recommend to the House and the House approving them. Mr. Speaker, I'm so grateful.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me invite you again, Honorable Chairman of the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I turn to move the motion numbered 8 on page 2 of today's order paper, that notwithstanding the provision of Order 10, which that until at least 2 sitting days elapsed after the notice to move the motion is given, the motion for the adoption of the 7th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency, the President's nomination for appointment as ministers
So I'll go ahead to put the question. All those in favor of the motion listed 8 in today's order paper, say aye. Aye. All those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Chairman, let's take the substantive motion. Motion 9.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I then take the consequential motion numbered 9, I pay 3 of today's order paper, that this Honourable House adopts the 7th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency, the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. Right, Honourable Speaker, in doing so, I present your committee's report. So, Speaker, the 7th report of the committee is recommending, by consensus, the approval of Honourable Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa as Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Tia Ibrahim as Minister for Northeast Region, Dr. Frank Amokohini as Minister for Ashanti Region, and Mr. Akamugri Atanga Donatus as Minister for Upper East Region. Mr. Speaker, at the vetting, salient questions were posed to them. Answers were respectively provided, and Mr. Speaker, I urge the Hansard Department to capture the 61-page report as having been read, as I proceed to read the conclusion of the report. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with the provisions of Article 78(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and Standing Order 217, the committee considered the nominations made by His Excellency the President. The nominees demonstrated competence, knowledge, and expertise on matters relating to their respective ministries. The committee therefore recommends to the House by consensus the adoption of each report and the approval of the nominee. Similarly, by a consensus. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, Honourable Patrick.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion for the adoption of the 7th report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for the appointment as ministers for Lands and Natural Resources, the Northeast region, the Ashanti regions, and the Upper East regions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll begin with the regional minister nominees. That we listened to the nominee for the Ashanti region, very eloquent Dr. Mwakohene, a medical doctor. He clearly understood the issues in the region, very affable, and we wish him the very best. On the nominee for Upper East, he distinguished himself at the committee, showing his knowledge of the region, his activism in the NDC party, having served as the longest regional secretary or regional officer in the party from the age of 27 to date. He's still a member of the functional executive of the National Democratic Congress. You could tell around the table that all the MPs from the Upper East were there to lend their support to the nominee, and I believe that his promise to tackle the Zoko to Burkina Road during his tenure will be realized. Thirdly is the nominee for the Northeast region, who was accompanied by our own colleague, former MP for Yabga Kubori, Honorable Tanko, to lend the support of the entire region. We made him to believe that the region is a split region. There are issues there that ought to be addressed, Mr. Speaker, especially the conflict between that belt and the Upper East region. He promised that he would cooperate with his colleague from the Upper East region to mount the necessary surveillance and barriers on that very important corridor to ensure that property and lives are protected. Our own Honorable Kofi Ama Kofi Boa
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, with respect, I will humbly plead with you, Mr. Speaker, that there are certain matters to be ironed out to ensure some tidiness in respect of my respected colleague who was formerly in leadership, Honorable Ama Kofi Boa. There was a certain understanding of between myself and the chair. I was supposed to see the final report. I wouldn't want to stall the process, but I would plead with you that whilst we make the contributions, we get into, I would engage him to be sure that what we did is what exactly we have here. Because there was, under normal circumstances, upon completion of that exercise, I was supposed to at least see, Mr. Speaker, I hold the torch for my caucus. And all of us here know that beyond this chamber, we have the party that takes decisions. I do not want to be seen as having disobeyed party orders. So I would want us to place that of Honorable Ama Kofi Boa on ice so that we resolve. I'm ready to see to it that we resolve that one so that we would proceed. And I will be sincere with you once I'm satisfied that what was agreed upon is exactly what has been captured. So we take it. I'm not here to stall anybody's approval process, but I must be sure that what has been agreed has been done. In all fairness, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Well, honorable members, hold on. Let Honorable Yabuama finish with the secondment. Then, so Honorable Patrick Boama.
Mr. Speaker, I'll conclude.
Yeah, conclude.
Subject to the discussions that is ongoing. And ask for the House to adopt the report of the Appointments Committee on the 3 nominees that we don't have issues with. I beg to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, the motion has been moved and it has been seconded. It is now before the House. We will take the contributions subject to the ironing out of the committee. Then afterwards, you will put the person. So, Chairman, have you?
Right, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa was vetted, and the following day, there was an indication that our report should be a majority report. And same has been communicated to the clerk of the committee. And indeed, the clerk of the committee has done a majority report. Right, Honorable Speaker, Parliament is a house where we judge and reach a consensus. So, Mr. Speaker, after deliberation, a consensus has been reached. I was informed that there was an issue of remorse based on which the report was agreed to be a majority report, and based on that remorse being shown, it is now unanimously agreed that we should recommend as such to the House for all of them to be unanimously approved by the House. Mr. Speaker, it is in that spirit that I sought your leave to allow me to move the 8th report before coming to the 7th report. This is to enable the indication in the report to be changed to a report of consensus instead of a report of a majority. So, Mr. Speaker, I do not know what really is the difficulty, what again is expected from the nominee, our own colleague, our own former deputy minority leader, deputy majority leader, now a minister designate, to hold a position of lands and natural resources. Mr. Speaker, this was what really happened from the committee's point of view. So, Mr. Speaker, if the indication is that something is supposed to be captured in the report which ought not to be captured, which has not been captured, Mr. Speaker, we are amenable, we are masters of our own rule, we can make those amendments to the report and then proceed to take the report of the committee. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Very well. Yes, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, when you're dealing with gentlemen, you don't have to sleep with your eyes open. Truly, let me state for the record that the leader of the House, a gentleman as he is, and the chair of the committee, my respected tribesman and brother, the gentleman as he is, indeed, reading the report, the essence of the discussion is properly couched. I have therefore no hesitation at all in going by what has been said. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa made certain comments against His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo when we had the SONA. And the understanding was that indeed it was very, very much in a bad taste. We shouldn't be doing this to our president, and that there must be decorum and proper use of language, especially on ceremonial occasions. And in ceremonial occasions, we need not introduce debate and bring in unnecessary acrimony. He then agreed to retract and apologize, and same has been captured in the record. Having apologized, having retracted, we can't straight the matter. We're no more going to subject him to a ballot, a secret ballot voting. We have therefore withdrawn the initial intention to proceed by secret ballot and to support the report to be taken through by consensus. Mr. Speaker, that said, I think that it's only fair that we let matters have a peaceful rest. So thank you. And I thank the majority leader and then the first deputy speaker for working around the clock for us to bring peace on this matter. Thank you so much, my respected colleagues.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again. So, honorable members, as I said, the motion is before the House. I'll invite two contributors from each side. Two. I'll first and foremost invite Honorable Adams Abdul Salam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the nominees to their various ministries. Mr. Speaker, I think the most sensitive ministry amongst this batch of nominees is the ministry that will be headed by the Honorable Ama Kofi Buah. Mr. Speaker, there's no doubt that he is capable of handling a ministry like this, but one of the issues that would confront him is the issue of illegal mining. And Mr. Speaker, the destruction of our water bodies. Mr. Speaker, in my constituency, the Ofe River, River Brim, and the River Pra ran through my constituency. And Mr. Speaker, these rivers used to be sources of livelihoods for the communities along, these rivers. Mr. Speaker, these rivers, as we speak, have been heavily decimated. And Mr. Speaker, this senseless destruction of our rivers definitely had to stop. And I'm sure the minister would take the issues of illegal mining, and especially mining in our water bodies, very seriously, so that we can curb the destruction of our water bodies. Mr. Speaker, the Ashanti Regional Minister was by far the star of this vetting. Mr. Speaker, he was composed, and if you take into consideration his age and having been appointed as a regional minister, Mr. Speaker, he was definitely he definitely demonstrated a clear understanding of the region that he's going to head. And Mr. Speaker, one of the issues that came up at the vetting that he said he had no ideas or didn't have full facts that I will be visiting him to discuss with is the construction of the new Edubiase Sports Stadium that has stalled for 8 years. And Mr. Speaker, I'm sure together we'll be able to find ways and resources to complete this stadium so that it serves the purposes that it was intended for. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to once again congratulate the nominees and especially the Ashanti Regional Minister. Mr. Speaker, he's only 34. And you would think that regional ministers are reserved for older generation of politicians. And this also reaffirms President Mohammed's commitment to ensuring that he gives younger politicians the opportunity to serve, even as regional ministers. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, a lot of young men in our political space will see Dr. Frank Amoako-Hene and think that their dreams in politics and their aspirations in politics are valid. Mr. Speaker, so I would like to thank the President for believing in young men and women in our party, and I'm sure some of these, we will see more of these appointments in the near future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable John Darko.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to comment on the President's nominee for Minister for Ashanti Region, Upper East and Northeast, and for Natural Resources. Mr. Speaker, I had the opportunity to listen to the nominees when they appeared before the vetting committee. Mr. Speaker, when it came to the ministers for Upper East, Ashanti Region, and the Great Northeast, they answered their questions very nicely. I believe the jury is still out there on whether or not they addressed all the issues. But Mr. Speaker, when it came to the Honorable Ama Kofi Buah, Mr. Speaker, the honorable member, when he was asked about how he was going to handle the Obuasi clashes, Honorable Ama Kofi Buah prevaricated. When he was asked on how he's going to help, especially the military, he's going to order the military to help with the fight against Galamsey, Honorable Ama Kofi Buah, in my opinion, was very evasive. Mr. Speaker, when it came as to the question on whether he will apologize for his respectful comments towards the president, the former president of the Republic of Ghana, Mr. Speaker, in my view, the honorable member didn't apologize enough. But leadership has said that the member apologized. Mr. Speaker, I believe that the purpose of vetting, the purpose of Parliament's advice and consent is to ensure that the President's nominees appear candid and they are vetted so that we know the kind of people who are going to the ministries. Mr. Speaker, from the hearing, from the vetting process, Honorable Ama Kofi Buah, in my view, did not do justice to the question. And so, Mr. Speaker, I believe that when all is said and done, the proper apology must be given to the former president. And on that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the floor.
Yes. Let me turn to Honorable Simon Awoligo. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I rise to contribute in support of the report that's before this House. On the four nominees, the Honorable Emmanuel Kofi Buah is a long-standing member of this House, a former deputy minority leader, a former deputy majority leader, a member for Elembelem. Mr. Speaker, his abilities, his competence is well known in this House. When he appeared before the committee, he expressed himself very well and demonstrated capacity to be able to handle the ministry that he's been assigned to. I have no doubt that he will do a great work. He will handle the land issues that confront our country today. He will handle the mining issues that confront our country today. He's well chosen, and I recommend that this House approves of him. The Minister for the Northeast region, Mr. Tia Ibrahim, acquitted himself very well when he appeared before the vetting committee, the appointments committee, and I am very sure that he will do a very good work. His Excellency President John Mahama has chosen him very well, and he will do very well. But of Mr. Amwakohene, the Minister for Ashanti region, young man, somebody young people can look up to, who did very, very well at the vetting. I am of hope that he will bring change to the region. But of more importance to me is my regional minister to be, if this House approves him. He is someone who served, as everyone in this House has said, longest as an executive of the NDC. He has excellent knowledge of the region. He has very good interpersonal relationship with the people. I have a very good relationship with him, and I know all the MPs have very good relationship with him, and that was the reason why they were all at his vetting. Mr. Speaker, I know he will solve most of the issues that are in the region, if not all of them. I wish to recommend to this House that the President's nominees are approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me give Shirley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the report, the 7th report by the Vetting Committee. Mr. Speaker, I would like to first of all congratulate all the nominees, but most importantly, I would like to congratulate Honorable Amakofi-Boa. And I was very impressed with the caliber of people that accompanied him to his vetting. Notable amongst them was Nana Kobina Nketia of Esikado Paramount, and then other prominent chiefs from the Western region. The message was loud and clear. It showed that the region was solidly behind him, and rightly so, because he's exemplified himself and distinguished himself in all the roles that he's been given, first as Deputy Minister for Energy and then Substantive Minister for Energy. I was keenly following his proposal for decentralizing the licensing regime, one that he thought we need to streamline to include chiefs and other opinion leaders in the community. I think this has given a sense of responsibility to the local people and our traditional rulers who have been yearning for this for a while. I believe that this will help the local people to hold their leaders accountable for their local economy and environment. It will also make it difficult for the local people not to be responsible for illegal mining menace that goes on in their communities. This initiative is novel and innovative and is one that I will be keenly following. On the part of the Ashanti Regional Minister nominee, he is a youth, and I believe that the youth of the country is looking up to him to succeed. It's imperative that he knows that his success will open the door for the other youth in this country. And so we are all rooting and hoping that he succeeds in his new role. There's one thing that I want him to come or bring to bear in his leadership. Ashanti region has a lot of MPP MPs. I pray and urge him to come to his role with an open heart. He should come devoid of partisan considerations. He should make sure that he consults and collaborates so that we can all make Ashanti great. And with that, I believe he also knows the tensions that go on between MMDCs and MPs. I urge the honorable nominee to come with the energy that he claims he campaigned for his party with, and stay focused and try to diffuse some of these tensions. For after all, he should remember that the development of Ashanti is paramount, and he should never negate that fact. With these few words, I congratulate the other nominees and wish them well in their various roles. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. The ladies. So the ladies spoke, and you, the ladies, were saying, yeah. I'll come to you. Anyway, I'm compelled to abandon the list that has been given to me and give it to Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I can assure you it's a very short one. It's just to add my voice to congratulate all the minister designates, but I have to make special mention of the Honorable Minister for Ashanti Region. I followed the after vetting commentaries, and I think the whole of Ghana is on the same page regarding his performance and his ability to hold the Ashanti region. I met him for the first time in 2019 after we successfully won our primaries, and he left a huge impression on me. So I was not surprised at the verdict that came after his vetting. I'm hoping and praying that he will use the same energy, the same temperament, the same level of intelligence to run the Asante region, make it a place where everyone can seek comfort, and also work together with the MMDCs and the traditional authorities to improve the lot of the people of Asante region. I say congratulations to Dr. Frank Amoako-Hene, and I say congratulations to all the other designated ministers. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Let him now come to leadership. Leadership, yes.
Well, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to the report. Mr. Speaker, this report, by consensus, is inviting this plenary to adopt the report and to enable the nominees take their oath to start work. Mr. Speaker, so far this House has done well in expediting the approval process. We are waiting on Mr. President to also ensure that the rest of the nominees are brought for us to consider. Is delaying. There are members who are very anxious to be nominated. Mr. Speaker, so far we have seen fewer women being considered. We still have very senior members who are female on the side of the majority. Mr. Speaker, Hajia Ladi Ayamba, we have not heard her name yet. Honorable Zenato Ajiman Rollins, the founder's daughter, the founder's daughter is yet to be mentioned. Honorable Adongo, his name is yet to be mentioned. Honorable Ramadan, his name is yet to be mentioned. Mr. Speaker, there are prominent names from the Volta region. There are prominent names from the Volta region that are yet to be mentioned. Mr. Speaker, we are very anxious. We are very anxious to receive all these names. Mr. Speaker, there are new female MPs who are anxious to have an opportunity to serve in government. Mr. Speaker, the respected professor from Esikado, Mr. Speaker, she is a prominent surgeon who has made it into this chamber. We are here to hear her name, Professor Grace Ayensu. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Bejira, a very senior member from the Volta region. Mr. Speaker, is the president being discriminatory? Without. We know he's not. But we are reminding Mr. President that we have great talent in this house. We have great talents that are yet to be considered. Mr. Speaker, are we just the minority just counted the majority? Without our numbers, you won't be able to take this motion. No, we are just reminding you that you have a lot of empty seats. We have counted you. You need ours to add up. So after all, what has become of your mighty, your super majority? This is your so-called supermajority. What shall it benefit an NDC supermajority when in critical moments its supermajority will rely on the minority? So on this occasion, Mr. Speaker, on this occasion, it is clear that the super majority would have to rely on the mighty minority. Mr. Speaker, we will support them with our mighty minority. We will support you because you need to form your government. Mr. Speaker, the beauty of our democracy is when we are bold to concede when we realize we've erred. Honorable Ama Kofi Boah has earned my respect. We all slip. We all make mistakes. In our public commentary, sometimes when we see the party full soldiers, we want to prove to them that we are the champions. Sometimes we don't want to be ourselves. We don't want to be the gentlemen and ladies that we've trained ourselves to be. We want to please our base. In the process, there are things that we do that when we reflect, realize that no, this one is not the man I am. So I'm happy that my respected colleague has rendered an unqualified apology to His Excellency, the former president. We wish him well. He previously served as a minister of energy. We know his track record in public service. The other nominees, especially my colleague from Greater Accra, she came with a whole support base from both MPP and NDC. So it tells us that she is able to cross the aisle to get support from the other side. This afternoon, some media houses were criticizing the parliament for not vetting, not asking her questions. And you know, what is our defense? Our defense is that we know her as our colleague. We believe that we don't necessarily need to take her through another grilling because we know she can deliver. So, Mr. Speaker, without more, let me add my voice one more time to the call on the chair of the committee for us as a plenary to approve this report by consensus. I so submit and rest my case. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, leader of the minority side. The mighty minority. Honourable members, I'll put the question. At the conclusion of the debate, the question is all those in favor of the motion listed.
Mr. Speaker, do they acknowledge? Let me do a little politics. It's part of it. Mr. Speaker, do they acknowledge that as their numbers stand now, without us, Mr. Speaker, do they acknowledge that with all the empty seats, without us, they cannot pass this? Do they acknowledge?
Honourable members, please let me put my question.
Please put your question.
Honourable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is all those in favor of the motion listed 9 in today's order paper, say aye. Aye. All those against say no. Honourable members, it's obvious the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Honourable members, this House has therefore approved His Excellency the President nomination of Honourable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah as Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources. Honorable Tia Ibrahim as Minister Designate for Northeast Region. Dr. Frank Amoakohene as Minister Designate for Ashanti Region. And Honorable Akamugri Atanga Donatus as Minister Designate for Upper East Region. Honorable members, on behalf of the House, let me extend our congratulations to the newly approved ministers of state. We wish them well. Chairman.
Right Honorable Speaker, we have the order paper addendum. If it is the pleasure of the House, then we take the item numbered 1.
Honorable Chairman, I think we haven't laid.
Presentation of papers.
Oh, okay.
That's the laying.
Okay. Yes, table.
9th report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointment as ministers.
Yes, honorable members.
Mr. Speaker, they can only lay the report. They don't have the numbers to proceed further. They can only lay.
The report has been laid.
Yes.
And they are to be distributed to honorable members.
They should make sure every member gets a copy.
Mr. Speaker, he should remember that now we have electronic copies. It will be on the screen.
Mr. Speaker, now the majority leader is dealing with semantics. It is not there. We don't have the electronic copy. They are now distributing. So that should be made known. Yes.
The pressure of the House now. Can we suspend for some few minutes?
We will adjourn to tomorrow morning.
We shall adjourn.
Yes, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Honorable members, the pressure of the House is to adjourn the House to tomorrow. Is it 10 or 12? To tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon.
Midday.
Tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Honorable members, the House stands adjourned.